Hey there, welcome to the DFS Build MLB edition. I'm Kevin Roberts, getting ready to go over the main slate. Taylor already dropped some picks and stacks for the top pitchers and the top offenses target for this slate over on our Patreon. You should head there, hit the link below in this video to go check out our Patreon. $5.99 for everything we have to offer, pitcher picks and stacks for the offenses every day for MLB. Plus, we have NBA for the playoffs, UFL, MMA, and of course, when NFL rolls around, we'll be hitting that as well. So you get all of that plus exclusive access to our Discord. So definitely go check all that. If this video does help you at all, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you get alerted to future videos just like this. All right, let's check it out game by game here. Seth Lugo takes on the Yanks. Godspeed, Seth Lugo. Probably not going to go great. You know, he's been okay, I think, to start the year here. 13 fantasy points per game. I think he had one really good game. I don't know, two decent games, 15 fantasy points in his last two. So he's been hanging around, doing all right. He was pretty good last year too, but here he takes on the Yankees. It doesn't look great. His numbers so far this year are not super imposing. They were really solid last year. Was not giving up a lot of power, was not walking a lot of batters. Just he does not have an elite strikeout rate though, and you are in a hitter's park against the Yankees. It's not great. So certainly not going to play Seth Lugo. I think he's good enough to the point where you don't feel like amazing about paying a premium for the Yankees, but it's the Yankees in Yankee Stadium against a pitcher that, you know, isn't going to completely strike them out. And he is going to give up some power to righties. At least so far, that's what he's showing this year. I mean, Aaron Judge can always be fired up. I have no problem with the Yankees. I just don't know if they are necessarily going to be fully standing out as a priority stack, which is kind of cool because if that is the case, then maybe we can get the Yankees at low ownership, which is always fun. On the other side, we do have the Royals visiting New York. Carlos Carrasco is a shell of his former self. He's not somebody to fear. Royals get a major park upgrade here. So Kansas City looks pretty darn good. I do not have a problem with the Royals whatsoever. They're probably going to be a little bit popular because of the park jump here. They do come in with a 4.18 implied run total. The Yankees are blowing them away in that regard with 4.82. So the Yankees grade out as the better offense, obviously. But when you get a park upgrade like that, Kansas City is a type of team that's going to be on your radar for sure. The problem is that the setting is really nice, but I think there's not amazing weather. Let me double check on that. The Yankees game it's okay. 61 degrees, the wind blowing left to right. Just not really the most advantageous spot, but I think both offenses in there are totally attackable. Tanner Houck taking on the Rays in Tampa Bay. This is not the old Tampa Bay park that we're used to. This has become a hitter's haven. So we can certainly look at the Rays and the Red Sox here, but I don't really want to pick on Tanner Houck. I think instead he looks like a guy that we can feel pretty good about. The Rays lineup is capable, but it's not super, scary. So far this year, he's getting lit up from the left side of the plate. They do have quite a few lefties here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the projected lineup here. Brandon Lau is obviously one of the better options, but he also strikes out a shit ton. So they do have some strikeouts in the lineup. They got a little bit of power. It is a good park. There's risk here. I think you could certainly entertain playing both sides, especially if, let me just check where the ownership's at. Tanner Houck right now, not really pulling ownership, and he's honestly one of the better projecting plays, kind of in the mid-range of this slate or the upper mid-range here. So I think at his price, 7.2K, he is a really, really interesting SP2. On the other side, you have Boston, Shane Baz taking on the Red Sox. Baz or Baz. I mean, I hear it so many different ways. I thought it was Shane Baz. Maybe it's not. It doesn't matter. The point is he is a good pitcher with a really staggering strikeout rate so far. Small sample size for sure. Last year is kind of just This year, it's been very, very good, especially against lefties. 47% whiff rate against lefties, very small sample size, and the park is kind of dangerous. So honestly, if we're to believe that, then the benefit of the left side of the plate for the Red Sox isn't quite as imposing. But I don't know if we can really buy into that, especially since last year he only had a 19% whiff rate against lefties and a 10% walk rate against lefties. So in theory, given the park and Baz's struggles against left-handed hitters last year, Duran, Devers, Casas, all the lefties from Boston look pretty darn good here, and I have no issue firing them up at all. I certainly would favor Boston over Tampa Bay. Boston, chalky Boston, Boston in a smash spot just does not work this year, but they should look good here, especially if ownership is going to be falling on Baz. And right now, it doesn't really look like it's going to be that much, 16%, but if it's going to be anywhere near that or higher, I think the Red Sox do look interesting. We also got the Braves and the Jays. Grant Holmes taking on Toronto. The numbers don't look very imposing for him. Giving up some power to the right side of the plate so far this year. Certainly did that again, last year as well. So you can look at the righty Jays here: Vladimir, Bo Bichette, Santander. So all these guys are in play. I think the Jays, since they do not strike out very much, I think they're an interesting stack, but one that might go a little bit under the radar. On the other side, we have Atlanta. Atlanta always looks good. I feel like the Braves always feel like just an awesome either a leverage stack or just a stack that is great in general. They do face Easton Lucas. Very, very small sample size. This year so far, he's been very good. And last year, he was very bad. So he was showing reverse splits last year against lefties, 17% walk rate, 158 ISO, and just an 8% K rate. The numbers on the other side weren't much better. I think we can just fire up Atlanta across the board here. They look really good. Lots of power. They do have strikeouts, but not really from the left side. So if Lucas is going to keep showing reverse splits against, with lefty, taking damage from lefties here, I think the Braves look really, really interesting. Clay Holmes taking on the Twins. I always like to fire up Twins from the left side when they face a righty. Clay Holmes is walking 14% of the time against lefty bats here on the year. Small sample size, though, so I wouldn't read into it too much. But last year, in a much bigger sample size, his strikeout rate plummeted by 11% from right to left. So we are looking at quite a few lefties here. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the projected lineup. So I do like the Twins a little bit, especially if Holmes is going to carry ownership. Right now, he is looking like a solid SP2 because we do know the Twins can strike out, 22.5% whiff rate in the projected lineup. But I actually like the Twins here if he's going to be like 16 to 20% owned. On the other side, you have the Mets. You can always fire them up, but not really super into it with Joe Ryan on the other side. Joe Ryan is not exactly, $9K. That's a pretty good price for him. It's not really like a super fun spot. He doesn't have, he doesn't have I guess the strikeout rate his has been pretty good. Really bad against lefties. That's a little bit worrisome. But small sample size this year. Last year overall, again, 7% dip from right to left. But it's Joe Ryan. He is a rock solid pitcher. Not really my most favorite pitcher to target in DFS, but he is a fine play here. The Mets are projected for just 3.9 runs on the slate. So it looks like a decent spot to target him, especially with the discount at 9K. I'm kind of indifferent on Joe Ryan, honestly, just because I feel like every time I play him, he just gets bombed. You certainly can play the Mets. And right now, where's Ryan's ownership? 15%, not like a lot of leverage opportunities. So unless you just really feel good about the Mets here, I think I would side with Ryan for sure. All right, we got Tiger Streak Skubal against the Brewers in Milwaukee. This is kind of a middle of the road park. Used to be a hitter's park. It still can be that way. I'm not fearing the Brewers here at all. Just a 139 ISO against Southpaws, 21% whiff rate. And Skubal is just a baller, dude. So he looks awesome. He looks like he's certainly in contention for the SP1. 10.5K is very, very high. But I think he looks really good. On the other side, Tyler Alexander is not an opposing pitcher. So if you want to fire up the Tigers, you can certainly do that. They do have some strikeouts here, 26% whiff rate against lefties. So if he can keep the ball in front of him a little bit here, he is in play because I'm pretty sure he's really cheap. He is, 7K. I think that's okay against Detroit here. The whiff rate is good. And like I said, the park is not as bad as it once was. All right, Houston and St. Louis. This is definitely a pitcher spot. Framber Valdez against the Cardinals. The Cardinals have an okay strikeout rate to attack here. They do have a little bit of power. Let's see where the weather is going in St. Louis right now. It is winds are out to right at 10 miles per hour. So that is a little bit concerning with Valdez. We know Valdez can get the strikeouts going for sure. Like this year already, 32% whiff rate against righties. Last year is only 22, but 29% against lefties. Point is, if Framber starts getting cooking, he can get the strikeouts, and the Cardinals do strike out a little bit. So I don't think it's a bad spot. The strikeouts could be there, and the park itself is fine. I don't love that the wind is blowing out. So certainly if Framber is going to start getting ownership, and right now he's coming at like 18%, if it starts ticking up, I would have a little bit of interest in Cardinal stacks as leverage. But right now I do tend to prefer the Framber side. Sonny Gray taking on the Astros. We know they do not strike out. This, like I said, this is a pitcher-friendly park. But with the wind blowing out, you can fire up the Astros if you would like to. I'm not super excited to play them. Both teams only have a 3.5 implied run total. So certainly looking at the pitchers here, I prefer, though, Frombear just because he has way more upside than Sonny Gray does in this matchup. Cubs in San Diego against the Padres. Jameson Tellin taking on the Padres. The Padres do not strike out either. Not a lot of power here, and the park is good for pitchers. So not super excited to play the Padres. I think they have a low implied run total, 4.06. They're capable, but just not really an offense I feel like we need to go out of our way to get to today. Cubs are obviously in a bad spot against Dylan Cease. He has a monster strikeout rate of just monster upside in general. He got tattooed last time against the Athletics, I think it was. Let me double check here. Yeah, he gave up 9 earned runs in 4 innings. He was pretty good the game before that. Really good the game before that. 27 fantasy points. So I think Dylan Cease, just based off of upside alone and the fact that he's only 9.8K, like that's a little bit too cheap for a guy with such a massive ceiling. Plus, the Cubs can strike out a little bit, and they're on the road here in a pitcher's park. So definitely leaning Cease. He looks like it's certainly in contention for SP1 of the slate, and just based off of price alone, he's cheaper than Scooball by like $700. I think he is the guy I would lean to, but of course he's going to be owned. Cease is coming in with a 23% ownership rate. If that holds, the Cubs actually don't look that bad as a leverage stack. Just not really the park to feel amazing about it. Antonio Senzatella taking on the Dodgers. Godspeed, my friend. Dodgers look amazing here. They are going to hammer him from the left side. I wouldn't really pay too much attention to a split so far this year, like 0% walk rate against lefties so far. I guess I wouldn't ignore the fact that he's a 2.9% strikeout rate against lefties. And then last year it was under 10%, and he had 16% walk rate and a 192 ISO. Like, it all looks bad. It's a hitter-friendly park. It's the Dodgers. I really like LA bats here a lot. I'm not going to be alone on that. They have a really nice 5.75 implied run total, the highest of the slate. So they look like the chalk stack, but boy, they look really good. It just depends, what are you going to do with like Tariq and like Cease with your pitching, and like what else you can do with your secondary stacks? Can you afford the Dodgers on this slate? I'm going to try to, but if they are going to be chalky, I would just look to get a little bit different within those stacks. All right, last team of the night, we've got the Rockies. We know they are not a fun team to use when they're not in Coors. They're honestly not even really that fun to use when they are in Coors. So I don't really want to play them against Dustin May. If Dustin May is going to be chalky, I sure wouldn't mind like some leverage stacks there. Let's see, what's his ownership at? 18%. I guess you could. I would probably start with the lefties here, like Nick Martini, Ryan McMahon. They're okay. But I don't really feel good about it. If I was going to do anything here, I'm stacking up Dodgers and I'm playing Dustin May. All right, if you want finalized picks, though, and stacks for the slate, you have to hit up our Patreon. Only $5.99 per month to get all the MLB stuff, plus everything else we have to offer, and you get access to our exclusive Discord. All right, that does it for me. Hopefully this helped you out a little bit, give you a little bit of glean as to how the slate is unfolding. Not a lot of weather to keep in mind for this slate, which is really nice too. If this video did help you, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully we'll see you at the top of the GPPs. Thanks for watching, and good luck.